Let's face it, if you're like most of us, football is life. We obsess over our teams, scream at the telly, rearrange plans around kick-off times, and argue passionately over VAR decisions with people we've only just met. For millions, football isn't just a game. It's a religion, a community, a source of joy and heartbreak. So imagine our collective disbelief when we hear that some professional footballers, the ones living our ultimate dream, don't actually like football. Yep, you heard that right. The same people pulling in six-figure salaries, training at world-class facilities, flying private jets to Champions League clashes, and living out the fantasy most of us would give a limb for. Don't even fancy watching a match on their day off. Some have admitted they don't follow the sport. Others see it more like a regular 9-to-5 job, clocking in and out. And then there are a few who, as soon as the final whistle goes, can't wait to be anywhere but the pitch, just dying to get home, put their feet up, and enjoy something not involving a ball. Baffling, right? It's like meeting a Michelin star chef who orders takeout every night, or a Hollywood actor who hates movies. It feels like a glitch in the Matrix. We look at footballers and assume they must have grown up like we did, kicking a ball against a garage door for hours, dreaming of lifting trophies, idolizing legends, and loving the game with every fibre of their being. But for some, football isn't the great love of their life. It's just what they're good at. And fair enough, really. Everyone's got a different relationship with their job, even if their job happens to involve 90,000 people chanting their name while they curl in a beauty from 25 yards out. Some players are in it for the discipline, some for the fame, some for the financial security, and some, well, because they just happen to be brilliant at it, even if their heart wasn't entirely in it. Now, we're not saying these players hate football. That'd be a bit dramatic. In most cases, it's more like a casual take it or leave it attitude. They show up, they do their thing, they earn their paycheck, and then they switch off like the rest of us at the end of a long shift. But in a world where football is so often equated with passion, obsession, and devotion, that kind of attitude can be pretty surprising. So buckle up, because in this video, we're taking a look at 5 footballers who don't exactly live and breathe the beautiful game, whether it's indifference, burnout, or just a desire for a quiet life away from the pitch. These players are proof that even at the top level, not everyone's in love with football. And honestly, that just makes them even more fascinating. 5. Benoit Assou-Ekotto. You've seen the thumbnail, and if you're around the same age as me, you'll remember the left back who represented Tottenham. Benoit Assou-Ekotto was never in it for the romance. While others kissed badges and declared undying love for their boyhood clubs, he treated football like a 9-to-5. A well-paid, occasionally ridiculous job that just so happened to involve 40,000 people watching you run backwards. Born in France, raised through the Lens Academy, and eventually capped by Cameroon, Assou-Ekotto had all the tools: composure, intelligence, and a quietly lethal left foot. He joined Tottenham in 2006 and stayed for nearly a decade, long enough to become something of a cult hero in North London. But unlike your average cult hero, he didn't pretend to care. "I don't watch football," he once said in an interview. "Well, I play it enough, don't I?" With Sky Sports reported it in an August 2006 article headlined "New Spurs Man Likes English Fire." That line alone probably caused several retired pundits to faint into their newspapers. But that was Benoit, blunt, deadpan, and utterly unbothered by the sacred traditions of the sport. While teammates were dissecting formations or arguing about the offside rule over dinner, he was far more interested in hip-hop, politics, and not talking about football. For him, The game wasn't a calling. It was a profession. A decent one too. He was known for his consistency, his clean challenges, and a fine assist or two. He even scored a thunderbolt once against Everton and celebrated as if someone had just told him the kettle had boiled. And yet, his honesty stood out more than any goal. In a sport dripping with cliches and overplayed emotion, Assou-Ekotto calmly reminded everyone that passion isn't a prerequisite of competence. You don't have to dream of lifting a World Cup as a kid to be good at your job. He never wanted to be a footballing icon. Ironically, that's exactly what he became. Not for his footwork, though that was solid, but for daring to say what most players never would. I play football because it pays well. Simple as that. And in a game full of overstatement, sometimes the most radical act is just telling the truth. 4. David Batty. David Batty is, without a doubt, one of football's great anti-footballers. A gritty midfield enforcer for Leeds, Blackburn and Newcastle, Batty was the kind of player you wanted in the trenches. Tireless, combative, and allergic to glamour. But here's the tryst. He didn't actually like football. Not a bit. While most players dreamt of lifting trophies or basking in the roar of a crowd, Batty was dreaming of getting home. Seriously, in his own words, quote, "I just loved getting home. That never changed." This is a man who, after missing a penalty for England in the 1998 World Cup, one of the biggest stages in world sport, didn't agonise, didn't mope. He was thinking about putting the kettle on and seeing his kids. Football, for Batty, wasn't a passion. It was a job. A job he did extremely well, mind you. But once the final whistle blew, he detached, like a man clocking off at the factory. "I'd give my all," he said. And then, that was me finished with football. No obsession, no match-of-the-day marathons, no wall-to-wall memorabilia. Just done. By 2007, he turned his casual indifference into a full-blown declaration of apathy. "The national game is boring," he announced. "I can never understand anybody paying to watch it. Never mind going all the way across the world to see it in the Mirror newspaper." For Batty, fans travelling thousands of miles for football were basically voluntarily enduring jet lag for 2 hours of tedium. Since retiring, he's made good on his promise. No punditry, no coaching, no testimonials, no appearances in retro kits looking wistfully at old stadiums. David Batty just left, like Kaiser Soze of the Premier League, puffed out a cloud of midfield tackles, muttered, "Cheers," and vanished. Our cult hero, then, not for his love of the game, but for being possibly the only man to play 42 times for England, were wondering why everyone was making such a fuss. 3. Carlos Tevez. Carlos Tevez, Boca's prodigal son, Premier League powerhouse, a man who once skipped training to, wait for it, visit Disneyland. But peel back the superstar's persona and you'll find a truth few expect. Quote, "I don't like football," he told Clarín in 2018. "If Barca versus Real Madrid is on and golf's on another channel, I watch golf." The man who bullied defenders in Old Trafford and Eastlands would rather watch someone gently tap a ball into a hole than rewatch El Clasico. See, Tevez wasn't that guy. He didn't curl up on the couch, dissect tactics or devour matchday punditry. He craved the ball at his feet, the sprint past a sliding defender, the stadium roar. Playing, that was his obsession. Watching, not so much. Call it practicality or pure disinterest. When Tevez moved to China, he dubbed it holiday football. Injuries crept in, he vanished from press duties, and fans grumbled. Tevez? He showed up at Disneyland. Shrug. Yet loyalty anchored him. Back at Boca, he wore the badge with blood-red pride. Not because of football, but because of belonging. That jersey wasn't a uniform. It was his identity. Boca was family. Football, just a field. He'd step into management, Rosario Central, then Independiente, not out of passion, but opportunity. But on May 19th, 2024, Tevez stepped down at Independiente. 9 months in charge, he rescued them for relegation, but early exits and league openings proved thorny, and he left, resentful of unpaid dues, dismissed by critics. Now, Tevez is off the sidelines. No badge on his chest, no post-match notes on his desk. He's a football figure outside the fray. Maybe on a golf course instead. At heart, Carlos Tevez loved playing, not watching, not managing. And even after a dazzling career and a managerial detour, that truth remains. The game he conquered wasn't the one on TV. 2. Dani Alves. Dani Alves has won everything. Seriously, everything. More trophies than most clubs, let alone players. Barcelona legend, Brazil icon, serial winner. But behind the silverware, a man who's often deeply disillusioned with football. Not the game itself, no. Alves loves football. The ball, the pitch, the roar. That's his stage. But everything orbiting it? The press, the politics, the puppet show, that's wherein it turns sour. The media? He's called him out hard. Says they don't report football. They stir the pot, manufacture drama, push clicks over truth. According to Alves, journalists aren't storytellers anymore. They're chaos merchants in press badges. He's talked about feeling like a product, not a person, a headline. Used, he said, an object to sell newspapers. Not a human being with thoughts, passion and purpose, but a statistic, a marketing image, someone to build up and tear down on a whim. Even when Alves shines, the spotlight seems cold. Still, he does love the game, not the theatre, but the craft. He said it clearly. He'll play as long as his legs let him, for the joy of it, for the rhythm of a perfect pass, not the noise in the tabloids. And while others chase legacy through medals, Alves looks deeper. He says legacy isn't just in trophies, it's in what you stand for, what you change. He wants to reform Brazilian football, clean up corruption, end stadium violence, move the game forward, not just win at it. So, is Dani Alves a football lover? Absolutely. Is he a football fan? That depends on what part of football you're talking about. He's not interested in the drama, not chasing interviews or photo ops. He wants respect, humanity, purpose. And if you still think football's just about what happens between the whistles, Dani Alves would like a very long word of you. 1. Ben White. Benjamin White plays football like he was born for it. Calm on the ball, ice in his veins, and clean enough to make centre-backs look like midfielders. Arsenal fans adore him. England calls him up. He's made it. But don't ask him about the Invincibles, or who Patrick Vieira plays alongside, or what happened in the 2006 World Cup, because Ben White, he didn't watch it, any of it. In his own words, quote, "I didn't ever watch football when I was younger. I still don't now. I just loved the game. I was always playing, never watching." He'll analyse himself, sure. He'll maybe tune in to an England match. But sitting through 90 minutes as a fan? Forget it. He's probably walking his dog, lifting weights, or figuring out how to get through an IKEA manual without rage quitting. And it's not just passive disinterest, it's consistent. When asked about legends like Vieira, he admitted he knows the name, just not the details. Football Twitter gasped. Arsenal's history buffs clutched their scarves. But White? He just shrugged. This indifference even sparked tension in the England camp. At the last World Cup, assistant coach Steve Holland reportedly clashed with White over his lack of engagement. White left the squad early, Officially, it was personal reasons. Unofficially, it might have been that he didn't want to talk tactics at breakfast. But here's the kicker. It doesn't matter. Ben White is thriving. He reads the game like a seasoned veteran, without watching vintage tapes or idolising centre-backs from the 90s. He's redefined what a modern pro can look like. All action, zero nostalgia. No punditry, no YouTube highlights, no weekend binge watching, just pure football. Played, not consumed. And maybe that's the charm. While others study the game from the sofa, Ben White learned it on the pitch. And honestly, Arsenal fans probably wouldn't care if he thought Tony Adams was a Marvel character, as long as he keeps shutting down wingers every Saturday. And there you have it. 5 footballers who, despite their world-class talent, just aren't that into football. Whether it's David Batty dodging match of the day like as a 2-footed tackle, or Carlos Tevez admitting he'd rather watch golf than a Champions League final, these players prove you don't need to be obsessed with the game to be brilliant at it. Benoit Assou-Ekotto openly said he did it for the money. Respect. Dani Alves? He liked the vibes. And Ben White? He's just not that fussed about watching 22 blokes chase a ball around. But let's not be too quick to judge. Not everyone grows up with football posters on the wall or dreams of lifting the World Cup in their backyard. Some people find joy within the game, not necessarily because of it. And honestly, that's fine. Loving what you do isn't a requirement, it's a bonus. So the next time someone tells you they don't love their job, just remember, some of the best to ever do it didn't either. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.